Okay. My wife Sandy became a Rotarian in 1990, and we married in 1998. So she'd been a Rotarian for a long time, been involved in international service activities. So when I got married, I basically married Rotary in a sense. And we got involved in a number of different visits and international visits. Then I became an honorary Rotarian in the Santa Barbara Sunrise Club in 2001. And we visited the City of the Children Orphanage in Celaya, Mexico, an orphanage of about 200 children. Padre Pedro had adopted all of these kids and had help providing service to them. We also, when we visited that area, we visited Celaya and the Natahi All Women's Rotary Club. Had been doing eye surgeries, cataract eye surgeries through C International organization headquartered here in Santa Barbara. So I first visited the orphanage in 2003, and it was really a moving experience. I had this young boy, he sat on my lap, and this is what I wrote in our Art Bugle article. It was on my first visit to the orphanage some years ago that a little one first touched my heart. Holding the young boy on my lap and having our eyes meet, seeing the sadness change to a smile. That's when I became a Rotarian. So that I just can't touch on the fact that something about little kids can really cause a change in your life, and that's when that happened. Then later on, I became a real full-fledged Rotarian in February 2004. That was a funny story too, because a former district governor, I'd been to a conference, and he says, "Bill, why the heck aren't you a real Rotarian? Why are you just an honorary Rotarian?" I said, "Okay, I'll join the club." I've been working with the club for 5 years or so. But in any case, the next time, next major event was in 2004. My wife became president of the club, and we invited the City of the Children Orphanage up here to Santa Barbara for a couple conferences, concerts, and that was really a moving experience. And then in 2006, I went down there again and helped spray paint on the orphanage, bring up old memories of my young life. And then when I became president in 2010 of the club, we invited the City of Children Orphanage up again. And that was a similar moving experience, taking them out on the boat out in the ocean. And these kids had never been out of Mexico, some of them, the younger ones. The older ones had been up here, some of them had been up here before, but that was really a tremendous and moving experience. And also the C International, all the times we went down there, seeing people, all these elderly people who, I'm one of them now, but and had just recently gone through cataract surgery, so I know it's a challenge. But seeing them going into the operating room and seeing the changes that the doctors made on these people, many of whom couldn't even see. Mm-hmm. It was those were the two major things. And what I learned from these experiences is the importance of developing relationships, ongoing relationships. The relationship we've had with the Natahi Club is over 20 years old. And we've been going down there off and on over a period of time, and other clubs have gone down there. So it's really important to develop relationships with other Rotary clubs if you're going to be doing things in their area. And the other thing that, as I mentioned, involving projects with youth and with the elderly. Those are the two big things.
Okay. Is there anything that we can do when we hear you talk about C International and the City of Children Orphanage? Is there something that other Rotarians could do to help that cause?
Right now, there were some challenges. They had some problems down at the orphanage, so I don't think and I haven't been in touch with the Santa Barbara Sunrise Club for a few years in terms of that relationship. But as far as Sea International, they're doing work all over the world. So you can we could contact them, and individuals could, if they were working in an area, individuals in our club could possibly sign on to help out in their respective areas if Sea is doing a project in their area. That's probably the best way to go about it.
Okay, fantastic. Does Sea also do um, take care of people that need these eye surgeries that are in America that might not be able to
Uh,
get it?
I think they have done some work in some of the Native American communities and in some of the poorer areas as well. But you can contact me, and I'll put you in touch with Sea International.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, on to the next one. You have also done a project. I can't pronounce the name here, but I see it's in Nigeria. It's
Yes.
clean water and fish farming project. Would you be able to tell me something about it? And before you start, tell the name of the project and the location, and yeah, specifically what the project's name is so that people can look it up.
Yes, this is a fish farming and clean water, particularly clean water and fish farming operation at Igberry Secondary School in Aba State, I believe it is, in southern Nigeria. This all started in 2010 when my wife and I went to the Rotary International Conference in Montreal. And we happened to be on a bus heading for, I think it was one of the adjacent communities. And we met this man, Rotarian, and his wife, Lemi Ijeoma, from Nigeria. They happened to be living in the capital, but they wanted to do a project in their home village in southern Nigeria in Aba State. And we started talking to other members of their delegation there at the conference, and they suggested we possibly do a matching grant, a Rotary matching grant at the time. This is prior to global grants. So we started working. The school had 500 students. So it was a secondary school. So we worked with some local clubs, put together a $23,000 matching grant, and submitted to Rotary International with the partner club, the Rotary Club of Aba, which was about 25 miles away from this local village. So it was a challenge. It was a challenge putting it all together, but we got it approved. We started the project in late 2011, actually 2012, and they hired a contractor, they dug their first water well and put in tanks, and then it didn't produce sufficient water. They had gone through a whole process. Actually, they had started an Interact club. The Rotary Club of Aba worked with the local school and started an Interact club. So there was kids that were very much involved in the process and helped them with regards to the site, but they just didn't find the right location for their first well. And then midway in the process, the contractor, who happened to be a Rotarian, left the site, just quit. So they hired a second contractor who came in and started working and said, you know, we can't make a go of it. We don't have enough, you don't have enough money. And so they started getting the district governor involved, and lots of time, and Rotary International lots of time, and it just didn't pan out. So what we learned from that is it's really hard working with clubs overseas if you're not able to visit them on a reasonably regular basis. And we didn't, it's financially, it was financially infeasible for us to get to this location in Nigeria on any kind of a regular basis. So we had to put our trust in the local club, and they just were not successful. And I guess what we learned from that, it's really important on the front end to be successful in supervising the project selection and the execute and staying with it and having regular contacts with the consultant that's doing the work. The last program that I'd like to talk about is really a successful program. It's a clean water project in 2 rural villages in Nicaragua. And my wife, Sandy, was a part of the first team that went to visit Nicaragua in 2014. They were looking for a community or communities where they could develop a long-term relationship. Mm-hmm. And they were in the Managua, the capital area, and they started working with a local nonprofit, as well as a local Rotary Club in the area. Once they had identified 2 possible sites, 2 rural villages, Trinidad Central and Quayatillo Dos. They worked with the Rotary Club of Ciudad Central. Ciudad Central was a larger geographic area that incorporated these 2 rural communities. It's fairly distance, 4 or 5 miles, if I recall, from the central part of the city to these 2 outlying rural communities, neither of which had very good water. They had a couple of water wells that were not doing well. The locals, as you can see in some of the pictures, were using horses and ox carts and trucks to haul these big blue barrels of water to their homes. And it just was not working out very well. So we started the next year. I went with the group of Rotarians from our club to the area and started really interacting with the locals and listening to them, having meetings with them, gathering all of the necessary health and related information on the kinds of needs that they had. And we started out initially with medical related needs. They had 2 small health clinics that were very run down. We put together a small district matching grant and received the funds to get things moving, cleaned those up and went down there and then celebrated the opening of the 2 clinics. And that was really a powerful thing. I remember seeing the first pictures of these old toilets that didn't have any water running to them, but there were still toilets there. But they were filled up with something, not with, they were just there for a fixture, so to speak.
Yep.
But so that was really moving, going down there that second year. And then they realized that, at least in a short-term basis, that they were not going to be able to get a major water project. So we started out with a water filtration project, so that the water that they had, they could we purchased water filter buckets, relatively inexpensive, that they could put the water in, and that helped a lot. And then we hired a consultant to do a detailed study, and we found that it was going to cost $300,000 to $400,000 to put a water system in for the widely spread out 2 communities. And that was just too much for our small Rotary Club, and as well as the club in Nicaragua. So we kept working with them and doing small projects, and they started interacting with the mayor of the local community, and they were successful in getting the mayor to put in a well at the location where we had identified in our visit down there, to put together a well, and a deep well, and 2 large tanks, which I think we have pictures of.
Yeah.
And that was really, really a moving thing. The next thing was how we're going to get the water. So they put the water down to another pump where they could still drive up to fill water, and then have to drive all the way 2 or 3 miles to the furthest out location. So, and this is after I had left the club. This is within the last 2 years. The Sunrise Club worked with another engineering consultant on a water distribution system, and they were successful in getting a Rotary Global grant this time, and securing other partners to work with the clubs. Just about a month or so ago, they had the opening. Actually, the local people dug the trenches. The mayor provided the bulldozers and the diggers, and the people actually went out and dug, and the club purchased all the piping and everything, and a supervising engineer to be with them all the time. They actually put water system to 2,000 homes. And it was just amazing seeing the pictures from them. You can go online, I'm sure, and see the Spanish edition of it made headlines. Bottom line is what we learned, and it's really important to work closely with the local communities to determine their needs, listen to their needs, and to come up with something that's financially attainable. The first instance, it wasn't financially attainable in Nigeria, but in this instance, we took small steps, smaller projects, and worked over time, and they were able to get the mayor to come up with some things, and then we finally got the Rotary grant. So don't give up. That's my message. Don't give up.